How's your day?
Oh, restful probably
Oh,
more than
nice.
anything. Yeah, a bit more restful than yours, I think. Yeah, holiday washing because the boys only came back. David came back on. Oh, I've lost track of days. Thursday, and Patrick came back yesterday morning, minus his luggage, so I've all his washing to do. Yeah.
When you say come back, where were they?
Oh, David went to the UK, my husband, to give his niece away at her wedding Saturday gone.
Oh, terrific.
And Patrick is not yet 16. He's 16 in October, wanted to go to Spain. I've got a friend in Spain, so he flew independently to Spain, which was quite cool on his own.
Wow. This is your
And
boy that was
joined
just here then?
yeah. And then
Serious?
joined up, had a good time then, and joined up with David for the wedding, and then he flew back independently. But so there was a confusion over his suitcase, and his suitcase was left in Amsterdam because he had to come via Amsterdam. So hopefully it'll be with us on Tuesday. So that was the only glitch. He didn't get mugged or robbed or lose anything. So he's had a ball. He's had a really good time. So been on my own for 2 weeks with the dogs.
Oh, must have been terrible.
Alfie, little one sneaked in. So yeah.
Nice.
So thanks for changing the date. Is that all right now? Then you can hear me okay.
Yeah, no, it's all good now. What did you do in your 2 weeks to yourself?
I rested. Oh God, I rested and had some me time. And am I looking in the right place here? Because I just look all over the place.
You're going from down to up, so I'm okay if you're okay, but we can see a bit of the roof. That's all.
Oh, shall I sit here?
It's fine. You look good.
Yeah,
I'm sure people aren't assessing, the level of your camera abilities or the lighting or whatever.
Well, I tried to make the background a bit more interesting. If you can see it.
Looks great. I just put books behind me so I pretend to look intelligent. That's why I've got books there.
Well, I think you can see my banner. I've taken my spectacles off, so I can't even see. Everything's a bit of a fuzz.
Yeah, got it.
So no, I just had a really good time, just resting, going out, and caught up on a bit of work, and it was good. It's nice to have time out, and it was very peaceful. And I ran the Gold Coast 10K last weekend. It was last Saturday, so that was nice.
Wow, 10Ks. Did you do much running?
I tried to do a little bit now. So I wasn't fit for the Caloundra one. I wasn't very well, so I wanted to do that one. So some friends did it with me, and I took the dogs down and stayed over, so that was nice. Yeah.
Are you a runner or did you walk it?
Never. No, I ran it all. I never used to be. I just took up running after my stroke, actually. But I really enjoy it, but I do get quite fatigued. So some weeks I can't run, and others I just think, just go for it. So yeah, I really like to run, and I think it's the achievement of being able to run and getting to the end and going, yay, I did it all.
What's the longest run you've done?
10K. I couldn't do any more than that. Yeah.
Okay. I bet you could.
You can never say you can't.
Exactly.
I'll set some water. I certainly have no desire to do any more, put it that way.
What are you drinking? Straight vodka?
No, water.
Water.
I'm a good water drinker.
Nice.
I'm not drinking. I don't drink much at the moment. Yeah, because it tires me out, as alcohol does, I suppose. What, are you having a cup of tea?
I've my partner's got me onto tea. I've never been a tea drinker. I've always been coffees, but I've sort of warmed to tea. But we put honey in it, so I'm getting too accustomed to honey. It's becoming more honey and less tea.
What sort of tea? Like brown tea?
Is there a different type?
Well, you can have like peppermint tea or strawberry tea. Do you have like?
Oh, right. Yeah, no, she gets it. I'm not sure. I'd have to ask her, but there's always different ones. They're always good. I interviewed.
Yorkshire tea.
What's that?
Yorkshire tea. Have you ever tried Yorkshire tea?
No, but I interviewed a lady once, and she met with Richard Branson, and she said that Richard Branson drunk PJ Tips.
Oh yes,
PJ Tips. PG Tips. Sorry.
Yep.
So I'll have to find some PG Tips and drink like Richard Branson.
They're not that nice. No. But I actually drink peppermint tea because I quite like peppermint tea if I drink tea. But David drinks Yorkshire tea because it's quite strong and it's like what we call builder's tea, where it's really strong. You can stick your spoon in it. That sort of tea.
You can eat it like with a spoon.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah.
Are you a Peter Kay fan?
I never really used to like him, but I actually am. Do you like him?
Yeah, and hearing you speak just reminds me of him. Well,
he's more Lancashire.
That's right.
Peter Kay is like Lancashire, which is the next. I can't do a Lancashire accent, you can tell. But yeah, Phoenix Nights. Do you like him in Phoenix Nights?
Phoenix Nights, not so much, but like all his stand-up stuff and in his Parkinson days and stuff like that, I was always a big fan.
There's a video that does the rounds, isn't there, where he...
The misheard lyrics, yeah.
Yeah.
That's classic.
Every time it does the rounds, I think, I've seen this before, but it's still absolutely
so
cracks. He had a series after God.
Exactly. I've been watching Peter Kay for probably 10 years, and whenever that misheard lyrics does the rounds, people will say, "Oh, this new guy, you've got to see him," and I'm like, Peter Kay's been around forever.
Yeah, it's good. And then he did a series with another guy called Max and Paddy when they went on the road in this motorhome. It's just, and the things that go up to it's just so funny.
Yeah,
I'm not an Office fan, you know, The Office. People like.
Oh, you're not an Office fan?
Not really. No, I can't really get to. Never got to his humour, but yeah, Peter Kay, I'm a huge fan of his. Yeah, his installment.
I'm sure lots of people are watching this going, who the hell are these people you're talking about, Peter Kay? And then so we better get back on point. You're obviously not Australian. Tell us about when you first moved to Australia.
Okay. 9 years ago on the 30th of June, just gone now, 2008.
Yeah. Okay. Nice.
Yeah. Moved out here then. I was a police officer back in the UK. And,
a bobby, isn't that what they call
them? A bobby, yeah.
Is that right?
A bobby. Sheila the Peeler, or a peeler, for Robert Peel, didn't he? He started up the police force, so I was Sheila the Peeler.
Nice.
Yeah. So, yeah, Bobby. I was a Bobby for 25 years. And
how old were you when you started at the cops?
I was just 82. I was 19 and a half, coming up 19.
I was in my 150 years ago, I was a fitness trainer with the New South Wales Police. At the police college in New South Wales.
Oh, wow.
So you obviously went through a similar cadet thing in the UK?
Yeah, I did. I didn't do cadets. I joined straight away, but you still have your probation, your 2-year probation, and you go through all that. But early doors, I really had a liking for criminal investigation. I really got my interest going, really. So I followed predominantly a CID career in the police and went through the ranks in that. So really enjoyed my time doing that. You know, I was never a traffic cop. That wasn't me. Nothing against traffic cops, of course. But it just got my interest going. I really enjoyed the crime aspect of the police and dealing with that. It was very, very interesting. I learned lots of things. Yeah, so that was good.
What sort of things did you learn?
Oh, well, I think as I went through the ranks and then got into CID, and even as a young detective, just dealing with, you know, the forensic aspects of crime, got my mind going, and how you can think of the correct word, rather, nail, convict, you know, that forensic evidence is so important. And even we hear it in the news, was it last week, with DNA, you know, how they resurrect a lot of cold case reviews. That's interesting. And yeah, just every aspect of, I suppose, dealing with crime, whether it's, you know, down to fingerprints, you know, the blood, all the other nasty fluids that are left, and how they trace to people, and how you can connect the dots to eventually convict people. I think it was that part that I enjoyed, the investigation type of it, as well as the interviewing and getting the witnesses and everything together. That was good. That was good.
Was it hard to come home from a day of that sort of work and switch off?
Yes, yeah, it was. I didn't meet David, my husband, now till probably was about 35. So yeah, there was. He's real good, and by then I probably got into the sergeant ranks. And when I became a detective sergeant, I probably saw more horrible stuff and dealt with lots more horrible stuff. That's not very good English, is it? But you know, I used to deal with serious and serious crimes. So as well as your series of robberies you might have over one night in the city of Leeds, I also dealt with obviously murders and deaths. You know, I remember dealing with a baby that was found in a skip. That sticks in my mind a lot. You know,
A baby that what? Sorry,
found in a skip. Yeah. Oh, hang on. I might need to go get my charger. Just hang on one sec.
Yeah.
Sorry.
You're right.
So things like, yeah, somebody, sad as it was, a young girl had obviously had a baby. It was stillborn and she'd not known what to do with it, and she'd put it in a skip, and a guy was scavenging around this skip. It was a skip in a yard where there was lots of rubbish, and yeah, he came across a baby which he didn't expect to find. So, and we never did trace the mother, which was sad in itself. But
you never found the mother?
No, we never found the mother. And I always remember she'd left a little book near it and a blanket. And in the book, she'd written down, it's amazing things you remember, isn't it? She'd written down lots of different names. She was obviously thinking of what to name him, as it was.
So yeah. She obviously didn't go to hospital to have the baby. She did it.
No. I mean, you hear stories of children knowing they're pregnant and hiding it and then having the baby, doing it, and then, yeah, she was never traced. So goodness knows what happened after that, whether she went to a doctor's after and they never disclosed it. I don't know. But lots of nasty murders and shootings and sexual offences, and yeah, but it was all very interesting stuff. I did lots of squad work before I was a detective sergeant. I worked in the drug squad. I worked with the bogus official team, you know, where people used to target elderly residents in the home. So I had a...
What did you call that?
Bogus official. Bogus, sort of the pretend to be, say, from the Yorkshire Electricity Board, and they'd show a fake ID to get into elderly people's homes.
Get their credit card or whatever.
Yeah, and then they'd get them to distract them while they stole the money, because a lot of people we came across used to hide the money under the mattress or in the handbags in the wardrobe. And I dealt a lot with the travelling fraternity were in England, where we dealt a lot with them up and down the country, committing those sorts of crimes. So again, that was quite interesting, as sad as it was. You know, we dealt with old ladies tied to the Zimmer frames with a telephone wire while they robbed them, and really horrible cases. But yeah.
I asked you already, but how do you switch off after all that stuff, right? Which is stuff that if you weren't in that industry, you wouldn't need to come home and switch off. But that's, you know, it sounds to me like you must have strategies and techniques that you use to come home and be a normal person. How did you do it?
I think it was wine really helped.
Don't say that when I'm trying to drink.
No. Well, we'd always, in a lot of the stations, not the, now in England, I think a lot of the bars have been taken away, but we used to debrief a lot in the bar. I'm not saying you'd stay there for hours, but, you know, you'd have a mull over things before you actually left work. So whoever the senior investigating officer was often, or if it was me dealing with something, you'd just try and go to the pub just for half an hour or an hour before you actually went home. So you'd just mull it over and talk amongst yourselves, vent, cry, whatever you wanted to do before you walked through the door. Since meeting David, he was really good. He used to say I'd come through the door and I'd take my brain out and put in my cotton wool, and then that'd be it. Decision making was over. You know, he'd decide what we're having for dinner, and yeah, it was fine. But yeah, a good listener's always good. But a lot of the time, you just unfortunately get used to it, and you have to move on. Next day is another day, you know.
Was David in the police?
No. I met him on a blind date. Some friends of ours put us together, sort of blind date. Yeah, back in England in however long it was. We've just had our anniversary. That was 17 years, so about 19 years ago. Yeah.
Oh wow. That's awesome.
Yeah, that was nice that it wasn't really. You're well detached from the police then, I think. You know, not going out with anybody in the police. You can actually not have a police social life. You know, you can actually have a life outside of the police.
Outside of the police, yeah.
Yeah.
So when did you decide, and why did you decide to move to Oz?
David had already lived out here a couple of times previously with his family, his mum and dad and sister Andrea, but his mum had never settled. There were a couple of times that they went back to England and eventually stayed there. But this was in his early years, when he was about 9, I think when he was about 13, and then he never came back after that, and he always wanted to come back. So we came out on a little holiday when Patrick would have been 18 months old, and I enjoyed it. But when I came back with a view to perhaps moving out, I just said to David, no, it's just a bit far away, which was a bit of a dumbass thing to say, because couldn't you tell me that before we spent flights? But I think the reality of leaving everything I knew was just too daunting. I think that's really where it was.
So you just came for a holiday initially?
Came for a holiday with a view to, you know, would you really like to live here? And I just don't think I was ready for the move.
Where'd you go for the holiday?
We actually came to Queensland, and we did Cairns, we did the Barrier Reef. The nearest we stayed from where we are now is Mooloolaba, and again it was lovely. Visited some people, a bit more hinterland, and we'd done Sydney on the way, Kuala Lumpur, and it was really nice. It was a lovely holiday, but I think when you do the journey you realise how far it is. And I don't think I was ready to leave what I had, because I've got a big family and close friends. I had a good job. We were both doing well, and I just thought, I don't know, it's a lot to give up, you know, just to start afresh and take that chance.
So you went back home?
Yep, went back home, and then as time went on, I got promoted again. So I then started working in the professional standards department in the police as a detective inspector.
Wow! So you're getting up there.
I was getting up there.
That's a high rank.
Oh yeah, it was higher. If I'd been there, I'd have probably gone for higher or tried, but that's as far as I got, which was fine. And I enjoyed my time in there. I don't think. I think you maybe find out who your friends are. It's a bit like your internal affairs that you see on telly, but I've got broad shoulders, so that's okay. and we dealt with some interesting stuff. It was all about complaints against the police, you know, from your minor incivilities to your serious offences, and you know, your assaults and other serious offences. And I enjoyed that, and I think we then became we were more on call, and I was getting, you know, your week on call. You were getting calls through the night. Anybody involved in death or serious injury, a prisoner or a member of the public coming into the police, death or serious injury, then we had to be called out. So I found I was getting called out a lot, and as were the other inspectors. And I started thinking, can I really do this for 30 years? You know, by this time I was probably 21, 22 years in. And then we decided again to think about coming out. So David put the application in because he had a data cabling business.
What really business, sorry?
Boring people, and he had a data cabling business, fibre optic
data cabling. Got it.
Data, yep. Sorry, data cabling.
There you go.
Data cabling, and we came out on a state-sponsored business visa, but waited till I had got my 25 years service in, because it meant then I could get a pension when I was 50 instead of 60. So we planned it right financially, and I moved out and started afresh here.
And you chose the Sunshine Coast?
We chose the Sunshine Coast. David, on a state-sponsored business visa, we had to pick which state within Australia. David came out for a recce about a year before that and decided he'd go with where he knew, Queensland, and the competition wasn't as severe as it would be in Sydney and the cost. And he just thought there was plenty of work out here, which there was initially. So. And he knew it, and we had some of his mum and dad's friends out here, not many, but it sort of helped a little bit.
So what did you do then on the coast? Didn't join the police again?
No. Well,
did you want to? Did you think to?
No, and I didn't want to at all. And
how old were you then?
9 years ago. What am I now? Nearly 54. So you do the math.
Mid-40s.
Yeah. I did a ladies what do lunch type of life that all my friends said I wouldn't be able to stick, and they were right. So 7.5 months in, I think, I got my private investigator's license, and that's what I did. I became a PI.
Wow.
Not with the glasses and the hat and the dirty Mac behind a tree or anything like that, but I did more factual investigation. And
what would people get you to help them with?
I worked for a company in Brisbane, actually, who picked up my CV and helped me along my way, and really never looked back at working for them. And it was a lot of bullying in the workplace. So they had a lot of corporate clients. And because bullying was a big thing I was doing in the police back in England, misconduct issues, primarily those are the things that I investigated. So I'd go down into the city, into Brisbane, and interview the complainant, then the witnesses and subject officers, and I'd come back, put a file together. This is over weeks. A case can be over weeks. And then they would go back to the company, and they would decide with our recommendations or suggestions what would happen to the person. So some got warnings, some got sacked, and we're talking about bigger corporate companies.
Yeah, right. Did you enjoy that?
Yeah, did very much. Yeah, and then the budgets changed for things, and they started doing a lot of their own. So I stepped back and started doing more like insurance work, like your frauds.
Okay.
And your bogus traffic accidents or thefts of motors and things like that, where people have said things that happened that hadn't. And so did you ever work for a husband or wife that were trying to see if their partner was cheating on them? No, I never really did that, which is good. It's not my cup of tea, to be honest.
I bet.
We talk about tea. No, I prefer the more factual, I can't think of the words, it's late now, something I can really get my teeth into and analyse, and that's the sort of stuff I like. I wasn't really into that. I think when I first threw my CV around, it did get picked up by somebody who wanted me to do some surveillance work just to show that somebody was at an address he shouldn't have been at several times a week. So I had to do early morning, late at night, and middle of the day, hunched in a car with a camera, and that is not my cup of tea at all. It kills you back. It
I
kills
bet.
you back. Yeah.
So, what was the most unique thing you had to do as a private investigator?
Unique. Oh God.
What was the most out there thing you had to do?
Don't know. I can't remember. It was probably also mainstream. I can't think of something. That's very boring, isn't it? Sorry. I can't think of anything that's out there off the top of my head.
So a lot of bullying cases and insurance claims. What about someone that was said they were, I'm assuming, couldn't go to work or had been injured or whatever? Like,
yep.
How do you catch those people out?
Yeah, I didn't do as much of that. I did statements for that, but I didn't do as much sort of follow and watch them. But we did a bit of that in the police, to be fair. But a lot of people I know that do that. It's just a matter of following them and surveillance. And if you're not surveillance, what's the word? If you don't know you're being followed, then it's easy to do. If you're not surveillance savvy, then it's easy to follow people. Yeah, very easy.
Sheila, how does, I'm in no way being sexist or discriminative here, but I'm very interested. How does a female go working her way up the police ladder in the UK?
Somebody asked me this the other day, and I can't remember who now. But when I first joined the job back in 1982, there weren't as many female officers in CID or in rank then. And I think maybe that's why I took a liking for CID, because I was asked a lot to help. And you say sexist, back then it was, if there was an old person or a female or a child, it was always the policeman who'd be called in to deal with it because they're better at it than the males, and that's how it was seen. But now they're very lucky, and we have our your rape units, the domestic violence units, the child abuse units, and I'm sure they're the wrong terminologies, but I think going up you have to really give as much as you get, and you can't be wimpy and female-y, I suppose, back then in the days.
Hang on. I can't let you go past that. What does female-y mean?
I've got to be careful what I'm saying here. I don't want to get sued. But I mean, it's hard. It's hard. I'm not saying it was correct then, but people say it's only a bit of banter. But nowadays, a bit of banter can get lot of people in trouble. Yeah, and I know I've really got to be careful what I say, but I know for some of the things I perhaps even dealt with back in the police, and I've left now, they won't sue me. Some of the complaints that were made by other officers against officers, I did often think, really? Just not suck it up and anything like that. But sometimes, I think you have to go to work to have a bit of a laugh. I'm not saying you have to go to work to abuse people or insult people or bully people. Yep. But I used to love going to work, and I think sometimes by having a laugh and having the banter, it gets you over the sad and the bad things that you deal with. But sometimes people take exception to that, and a lot of officers take exception to it more than they used to do, and therefore a complaint then comes about. But I think when I first joined, it was, you're one of the lads, and that's how it was really. Maybe that's got me through because I joined when I joined. And, if you can hold your own in a conversation or drink as many pale ales as them or pints of Teckleys or whatever the thing is, then you've probably got your respect in CID. You can join up, Okay. But I think top and bottom, you've got to be good at your job.
Sure. So less about male or female then, and more about specifically that industry. How do you think police officers go in the real world?
What do you mean, Matt? Sorry.
Yeah. No, that's fine. It's a very general question, but my experience was that there was a lot of depression suicide from police officers, both currently in the job and who had left for whatever reason. Was that something that you were aware of in the UK?
Not in my early days, no. But I think it's fair comment that the pressures on us became tremendous, and the pressure on them now is tremendous. And everybody says to me that I retired at a good time before it all went a bit downhill, and that's maybe some of my colleagues from my force in West Yorkshire. But I watch the news, I look at the politics about the thin blue line, and it just seems to get thinner and thinner. And I really feel, for me, excuse me, the 25 years I served, I absolutely have no regrets and loved every minute of it and leave with good memories. But the pressures upon people now are just too intense. There's the, excuse me, I'll have to drink my water, put more gin in it next time.
That's right. Actually, probably a good point. I'm just going to pause things for a second if you want to have another drink. The computer's telling me I need to update something, so just bear with me a sec.
Oh, you there?
Yeah. Sorry about that.
You're all right.
You're on the side now for some reason. There you go.
Hang on, because the charge is in. Oh, I thought I was on like that before. I didn't start. Hang on.
That's it?
That's it. That way.
Perfect. Yeah, apologies for that one.
That's all right.
We're back on. All right, so what I was asking was, so rather than like a gender difference, but more so, the police and depression and suicide, and I asked, was that something you noticed in the UK?
Probably not, really. No, probably not. I have heard of some cases since that, and sadly, I've had friends that have left the police, and that's all they ever knew in their life. And it's like a family, really. I think when you work for so long in the police, that a couple of friends I knew after I'd left and moved to Australia have actually taken their own lives because they just felt that that's all they ever knew, lived and breathed, and which is very sad, really, isn't it?
So after they left the police, they committed suicide because it wasn't the same as it was in the workforce.
Yeah, they just felt that they didn't have anything left in their lives, and I feel that's sad in itself. I loved my job, but I was very mindful that it wasn't the be-all and end-all of my life,
And lucky you had a good family around you to make you aware of that.
Yeah, and I've got great police friends to this day, but I think, you have to have other interests as well to keep you going, without a doubt. Yeah,
100%.
Yeah.
What do you think it takes to be a good police officer that can switch off when they get home?
I don't know. I mean, they try and train you in that sort of thing, and I don't know, really. I think it's just, I think like you say, I think the benefit and the relationships and marriages that I know have lasted with my friends in the police are those, not necessarily that have not married policemen or policewomen, but it's just a matter of talking through stuff together. And you'd think, well, if you're married or in a relationship with a policeman or policewoman, they'd understand what you went through, or they'd understand the hours you work, and that doesn't always work. I think really, whether you're married to a policeman or not, you just need to let things out and talk things through with people, whether it's your partner, it's a friend, whether it's the dog, just let things go, because you have to keep moving on. You can't, some things are really, really sad that you see, and I don't know, when I look back and think, how have I managed to carry on and deal with that? I don't know. I think it's just something you have in you, or you don't. I think that's the way it is, and that perhaps makes you a good police officer or not. It's not a bad thing if you can't, but you just have to have that what's the word? Not the stiff upper lip. That's very English, isn't it? But you know, you do just have to get on with it. It's top and the bottom of it is. That's what you have to do. You just have to get on with it. There's no other word for it, really.
Yeah. Sheila, what made you a good police officer?
Because I'm caring, I'm clever. No, I don't know. I just think maybe a good place. Like I'm going for an interview. I don't know. I think I definitely had an investigative mind. I talked too much. That was always my failing. My husband and even my friend tonight said, "Don't talk too much. Will you let him talk?" I'm trying.
Well, you were high up, right? So getting into inspector level, that's relatively high up.
I think for me, I hope, I don't know, maybe when some of my ex-colleagues see this, they might differ, but I think I was always very democratic as a supervisor rather than autocratic. And sometimes, you had to say how it was. But I just liked other people's experience and opinions. I think one of my greatest times is when I was a detective sergeant on a team at a little station called Pudsey in Leeds, and I had a great team around me, and those who are watching this will know who they are, you know, and they all had a lot of service, some a lot more than me, but they all had different bits of the different skills. They were all skillful, but they all had great skills. Like 2 were really good interviewers, and 1 was really good in fraud, and 1 was really good in cognitive and getting really good statements from people. So as a team, we worked really, really well as a team, you know, and you couldn't say anyone was better than the other, because when we investigated things, we investigated them as a team, if that makes sense.
Got it.
So I think it's that team, leadership a little bit, but I think it's that team spirit that I've always really liked, that it's not, you know, there's no I in team, that sort of thing. It's never about making yourself, my words are coming slow because it's later now, because to be not notoriety, what's the word, you know, to make yourself famous. It's not that, it's just getting the job done.
Got it.
And with that, you get some really good detectives to help you do that. I think that's the way it is, yeah.
You just mentioned interviewers and a lot of other positions, but what made them good interviewers?
They didn't talk too much. and well, being a good interviewer, to be a good interviewer, you also have to be a good listener and not trying to fill the spaces. And a lot of people who, you know, socially have to say something. If there's a gap, they have to say something. They're not comfortable with silence. So you were.
I was going to let it go, but I won't. I won't.
And I was never the best interviewer. And for those who interviewed with me, and I wasn't, because I am good at listening. I am a good listener in all respects of life, personal and business. But yeah, I wasn't the best, because I always feel I have to say something. Sure,
and you were the leader, right?
Sure.
That makes sense.
I was the leader.
Got it. All right, we should probably fast forward, because you know, there's a whole other chapter to this story. Tell me about when you first, like what I want to talk about the stroke, right? And I'm struggling to work a segue into it, but what I'm interested in is, was there any lead up signs to that, or did one day there was just
no, the words, no, and the 15th of April 2013, and I won't read my poem. That's when it happened. So that's just over 4 years ago. And as I say to everybody who looks at me, that I was fit and healthy as I am now, and that's what's helped me get better, but I was fit and healthy, and I was mowing the lawn. So that's simply doing that. David at that time, albeit he had his business here, he was taking a bit of time off, and he had a job as a FIFO over at Roma, and he was working away. Patrick was at home with me, the school holidays, and we'd been mowing the lawns and doing the garden. And it was just a very, very hot day, and I'd not drunk enough, and I'd come inside because I was hot and I'd done enough, and that was it. I thought, whew, as we do, I'm a bit hot, maybe I've done it today in the garden. As sure many people have that feeling, every day of the week. And then as I went inside the house, I started to feel pretty sick, quite nauseous, and I shouted up to Patrick to bring me a glass of water because I felt really queasy.
This is your son?
This is Patrick, my son. Yeah.
And how old was he at that point?
11.
Yep.
11. And I went into the downstairs toilet, and I thought, I really am going to be sick. And the old kneel on the floor and head in the toilet bowl, no alcohol involved. And suddenly, that's almost the last thing I remember. The next thing I remember was waking up. That sounds awful, but I gather it was only a matter of minutes, however long it took Patrick to come downstairs. Well, it could have been hours really, but downstairs to get me a glass of water. And he stood there with a glass of water, and I couldn't speak and I couldn't move my right side. I was slumped on the floor.
Were you conscious? Did you know what was happening? Or had you blacked out or something like that?
I had blacked out. What had happened was, What had happened was a clot, the motion, I found out this afterwards, the motion of putting my head into the toilet, a clot had come from somewhere, and it had come into my neck and burst through the basilar artery into my neck and into my brain and just knocked me out cold. So I was unconscious. For how long, I don't know, but I don't honestly think it was minutes from when we look at times and things like that. And then I remember bits of what happened, and the other stuff I remember from what Patrick and my friend had told me, who coincidentally called in to see me about 5 minutes after Patrick found me. So
wow.
That was fortuitous. Yeah. And so I understand I was trying to do something with my left hand, Patrick. I don't know what it was, but they eventually called 000, because Erin, my friend, was from New Zealand and Patrick was from the UK, and between them they couldn't actually remember what the emergency services
It's pretty tough. It's 3 zeros. It takes a bit of remembering.
Well, Patrick could only remember 999, and Erin, whatever New Zealand is, at 911. I gather whatever you dial now,
it'll go straight through, right?
But I think it's that, as much as we laugh about it, ringing and timeliness and 000 is hugely important with a stroke, but we laugh about it now because we can, but at the time I'm thinking, oh, that's fine, you just talk amongst yourself what the emergency services number might be,
Exactly.
What
is there something you could have done to prevent that happening? Or like you said, you were leaning forward. Is that why you had the stroke? Like what caused it?
What I should have done is because of my blood pressure, or because I'd not drunk enough and I got too hot and I'd not looked after myself. So if I'd have drunk sufficient water and stayed out of the sunshine and perhaps not overexerted myself on that day, and when I was feeling tired, mowing the lawn and doing what I was doing, I should have probably just stopped and just consumed more water, perhaps something else, something better to eat. I think I've been snacking in the morning. So other than the days preceding it, where I couldn't fault the life I had, it was just on that particular day. That's all. The physician, Dr. Rowan Grimley from Nambour, who was my physician, lovely man, he said, it can happen like that. It's quite freaky. He's another friend of mine, had a stroke, and he, can't really, you just can't put down to, well, what it was or what could I have done. I think the only thing I could have done on that day was I should have perhaps drunk a bit more. They say that some stresses can cause stroke that you aren't aware of, but there was nothing I could ever really put my finger on.
You weren't stressed.
No.
How old were you then, Sheila?
I was 49. I was just coming up to my 50th birthday, so 49. I was 50 in the July.
Still young. Spring chicken.
Spring chicken. Yep.
Is a stroke in any way genetic?
No, well, my mum did have a stroke at 50, but hers was a bleed, and it was completely different to mine. So no, and it's just freaky. It's just freaky, which is why I like to talk to people about stroke, because, you know, by leading a fit and healthy life, I recovered a lot better if I hadn't have had a fit and healthy life, if you see what I mean. So it's important that even though perhaps you think, well, if I'd have only done that, I think there was very little I could have done more to have avoided it. It just happened. And I think that can happen to a lot of people. So I think it's important to, however much you can try and prevent stroke by, you know, not smoking, not drinking alcohol, and a lot of the other preventative.
Just a healthy lifestyle, right?
Yeah, just a healthy lifestyle. Yeah.
When it happened, did you immediately know you'd had a stroke, or what was going through your head when you're in the toilet bowl?
I think I just thought I'd fainted initially, because, you know, when you get a bit hot, you get a bit, you know, I honestly can't remember my thoughts at that time. I remember being in the ambulance and the paramedics were talking to David on the phone. Was that right? Or they were talking amongst themselves. And I didn't know at the time, but Erin, my friend, had managed to get hold of David, who was out on the pipeline, and he'd said, oh, her mum had had a stroke. So I remember them talking about that. Okay. And as soon as they mentioned stroke, I thought, oh, crap, I've had a stroke. And the first thing I thought of, I think what upset me more was my mum, bless her, I love her to death, and she's still alive at 81. But wow. my mum was quite disabled. And I kept thinking, gosh, I don't end up like my mum. My mum was disabled because my dad did quite a lot for her and perhaps didn't help her in her rehabilitation. In a good way, he wanted to look after her, but in a negative way, her rehabilitation was probably a lot slower because he did everything for her.
So you're saying your mum was disabled because she wasn't getting the rehab after her stroke?
No, she was going to be disabled anyway. My mum had a very severe stroke and she nearly died.
Right.
And so it was much more severe. But things like her mobility, probably. Her mobility was, I would say, it isn't as good as it could have been because she didn't get up and make a cup of tea because Dad would say, oh, it's all right, I'll go get it, you know. And one of her hands she can't move, and she can't quite lift one of her arms, and her leg now is sort of, she's very, very slow. David's just been to see her while he's been over, and my sister Helen, my younger sister Helen, and older brother Stephen, you know, they're around thankfully, but Helen looks after a lot and gives me the updates. And yeah, she's very happy. She does well, but she's quite severely disabled. I think all I could think of was, oh my God, I just don't want to be like my mum, you know, in a bad way. You know, I love my mum.
Is your dad still around?
No. Dad passed away in 2007, a year before.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, he had lung cancer, bless him. Yeah, so he's not here.
Got it. So how does your mum get by now, being that she's, I'm assuming, still not quite able to do everything?
Well, she does really well. She bought a little unit in a complex. It's not like a retirement village or anything, but there's a little warden there, and Mum has a 24-hour what do you call them, on a string. A monitor, you know, so it gets into strife. She has collapsed a few times, and because she's a little bit immobile and carrying perhaps a little bit of extra weight, she can't get up if she falls. So that's concerning. But, you know, she does well, and she's doing okay. You know, to say she's 81, that's 31 years ago, She does really well.
That's great. She's still in the UK?
Yeah, she's still there, yeah.
Nice. Sheila, how have you been affected from the stroke? Is there anything that you struggle to do now?
Still fatigue. I still struggle. I've got a yawn. Sorry, that's not on purpose.
Good timing.
Sorry, you must be shattered as well. I struggle with my fatigue, and people know I struggle with fatigue because everybody knows when I'm tired and grumpy. And and I think as the years have progressed, I've got a lot better. Certainly with managing my fatigue, but I'm really rubbish. And I do too much, and my husband tells me I do too much, and I need to step back. And initially, when I started getting through my depression, and I went to see a trainer, and I got through that awful feeling of what do I do in my life? I started exercising, and that's when I started doing things I'd not done before, like climbing and all sorts of other things, and a bit of running. And then I realised...
Did you, let me just ask this one, was it depression post the stroke?
Yes. Oh, yes.
And why was it? Why do you think you went into a depression?
I got my depression not long after my 50th birthday. I flew to England in that first 3 months after my stroke to see my nephew get married. And I came back, I rested a lot, I slept a lot. Oh, are you there? Oh, it's all right, something went dark. Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, are you there? And I just really, David went back to work, and I took stock of where my life was, and my brain, albeit it was nice and rhyming, I couldn't assimilate information the same. I couldn't talk the same. I didn't have aphasia. It was slower. It was slower on the upkeep. I read recipes and I couldn't remember. So I just started thinking, well, what do I do now? How could I possibly go back to my investigation work? And okay, if I can't do that, what can I do? And that was half the problem. I didn't really think there was anything I could positively contribute to this world. I think that's as sad as it was. And when I think back now, I think, yeah. And that's upsetting for David and Patrick, because I'm a wife, I'm a mum, and that's important, and it is, but for me it wasn't. And I think because I'd had such a fulfilling life doing what I do, as well as being a mum and a wife and a friend and a sister and all that, it was just, this is what I do. I investigate. I've done it near on 30 years now, and I just couldn't get my head around the fact that I couldn't do that anymore.
Got it. You seem like you're pretty independent and always would have been. So when the stroke happened and you're sort of assessing what the next chapter is, I can see why you would have struggled with that.
Definitely. And it took a while, and it was my sister. David went away again and took my sister to get me out of bed to take me to the doctors, because I just couldn't stop crying, and I did write a lot of my sad poetry through that time, which probably was a way of me trying to cope with it. And when I read them now, I think,
who's that person?
Oh, was I that person? When I look at myself now, and it's hard to think that,
Yeah. Let's have a talk about the book. So you've sent me one. I appreciate that. I've got it here. You looking good. Yeah, that's the Sunshine Coast. I'm assuming that's along Alex.
That's Dicky Beach. It's actually still got the SS Dicky in there that they recovered last year in the sea.
Got it.
Anyway, that's
why write a book about the journey you went on with having a stroke?
Well, what happened was my brain would only work in rhyme. So once I got that in my head, and it's okay, just go with it, I wrote a lot of poems and then started publishing them on some of the stroke sites. And I found people who I knew through stroke who'd helped me, said that these are good. These say they're good to publish, but they're helping me understand, and that it's okay feeling like that. You're not on your own. This is a normal feeling. And some of them are funny, some of them you know, are just silly ones about the frustrations of, you know, going to forgetting the oranges at a soccer match, you know, and what you go through. So they're not all sad. But what happened was, after I went to see Mel, my PT, and I got this you can do what you want to do attitude, and stop focusing on that life, because that life is gone, and just be grateful for the life you've got. And that, when I started understanding that, I thought, well, what can I do with my life? And that's when, through a lot of support from others, I decided, yeah, maybe I will publish my poems. So that was why I published the book, was not to be a famous millionaire author, which clearly I will never be. Although David keeps hoping one day. But I think it was purely because I wanted somebody to pick up that book and think, it's okay to feel like that. And also, because it was the chronology of my first 2 years, for somebody to read the poetry and get to the end and think, I can do that. I'm not saying they can go up Mount Gungan and get to the top and go, yay, I've climbed, because a lot of stroke survivors are immobile and don't have all limbs working, and I get that. But it's finding something within yourself that makes you go, that makes you buzz, and makes you realise that there's potential, however small it may be, and it just keep focusing on it and it'll grow. And all these bits of terminology were things that I learned from Melinda, who taught me to get better again in myself and in my head and get that positive mindset. I'm annoyingly positive sometimes.
You're annoyingly positive.
Sometimes, because, you know, you have to see, I know you're that sort of person too, but you have to see the positives in things, because if you focus on the negatives, if you wake up in the morning and think, I'm going to have a crap day, then you're going to have a crap day.
And guess what? Yeah.
It's as simple as, so the reason I wrote my book was for that purpose, to share it around and let others understand that me, Sheila, nothing special, 49-year-old mum, wife, had a stroke, freaky, but look, yeah, she's got depression, that's really sad, but look what she's done since, and you can do that too, you know? Yeah, all right, it might not be able to do the same things, but find something and reach out for support, let people into your little life. The Stroke Foundation, just immensely supportive of everything I've ever done. They got me through, as some friends did, through that depression, and they're now with me on this positive journey, which is just lovely. I just, you know, and people can't do things like this alone. You can't get better alone. You have to reach out.
Sheila, what would you say to someone that has recently had a stroke, is a bit lost, a bit scared, a bit like where you were, depressed and unsure of the future because they can't do what they used to be able to do? What would your advice be to that person?
You see, and that's the thing as well, is that I'm not a trained counsellor. I've had no training. So from my perspective, where I was, is just reach out and get support, get the advice you need. If you're in Queensland, you've got the Stroke Foundation, New South Wales, there's other stroke foundations all around the world. And I'm in touch with a lot of them through Twitter's marvellous, isn't it? You know, and we share things, and, you know, just don't give up hope. Don't give up hope, and share how you feel with others. I shared how I felt through my poetry, but some people might want to share verbally, they might want to write the feelings down, but let them go. And there's one of the quotes, affirmations, and I forget it now because it's late, but it's something to do with, it's okay to have a meltdown, but don't pack up and live there. You know, just try, and I'm sure that's wrongly quoted, but
I get it.
Oh, hang on, the dog wants to go out. Go on, Alfie. Go on, darling. Sorry. But it's just that sort of thing. And I'm not saying surround yourself with, you don't have to surround yourself with loads of stroke people, but Chris Kay, who's a stroke survivor on the coast here, set up the Young Stroke Survivors group of Queensland, and we meet every 6 weeks up at Doonan, up north a bit, not that far, and we all get together and we chat about things. And sometimes, you know, just chatting about how you feel with people who understand how you feel really, really helps. So don't just sit and wallow in it. Just think of how you can move forward. You know, get up and have a shower and think, right, okay, I've done that today. That's the feet. And I know I'm lucky. You know, I don't want people to think, well, she's all right. She can talk, she can walk, you know, she can run, she can do this. I can't do that. But
that's a good time to ask this question. If someone was really affected by a stroke, and it sounds like your mum had been, what are some really noticeable things that would happen?
Speech is a biggie, and it's funny. It's speech, obviously mobility, you know, but it's your brain. Your brain is a wondrous, wondrous thing. And I've read a few books since my stroke about the brain and how it works. And everybody's brain's different. And often everybody's stroke is a little bit different. You know, my organised side went and my got worse and my creative side came in. But I think speech is a real biggie for me, and often people who've had a stroke and either can't speak or need to start speaking again doesn't mean they can't understand, and that's a real I think on the back of my bookmarks is the poem I Understand, and just because I remember that the people were talking around you, not talking to you or including in the conversation, but because you can't speak doesn't mean that your brain isn't going and understanding. So it's, I think anybody who's had a stroke, it's understanding the symptoms and the things that they're actually going to elicit after the stroke. So it's speech and mobility, and, you know, hopefully try and help them to get their brain better with the correct advice and education.
Got it. Shellagh, what does the next 3, 5, 10 plus years hold for you?
I don't know. Hopefully not on the stroke. Honestly, I don't know. I didn't, when I started off with this book, I didn't know, I didn't expect anything, and I think that's a good thing. I think it's just taking it. I used to take it hour by hour, day by day, and now I might take it, you know, month by month and seeing where I go. But this year,
is that because of the stroke or just the type of person you are?
Oh, I think because of the stroke, I've now got better. I've got better in my health. I've got better, so I know you can get better. I'm not saying I'm fully recovered because I know I struggle with my fatigue, but becoming a stroke safe ambassador this year, which is where I go around talking to communities about stroke on behalf of the Stroke Foundation, has just opened up another avenue for me. And it means I'm really doing what I want to do. Yes, I do my author talks, and I'm on what day is it today? Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. On Tuesday, the Stroke Foundation invited me to talk to a group of young stroke survivors.
Fantastic.
On the Gold Coast. Yeah, and that's where I want to be. I do things for the Stroke Foundation. I also go out talking about my book and me as a inspirational, positive person, because that's a lot of the feedback.
Annoyingly inspirational.
That's a lot of feedback I get. That people genuinely email and ring and say, oh, I saw one of your talks and you've actually made me change my view now about things, and I feel I can go forward, and you know, you've shown that there's life after stroke. And that's what I want to tell people, that, you know, it's okay, and it's a grieving process. You know, you've lost your life, you've lost a part of you. So I think it's really important to go through that stage. If that involves depression, so be it, but then come out of it, you know. And people say to me, or somebody asked me the other day, when am I going to start getting better? And they said, I haven't had a cold, I haven't had flu, you know. It's just, for people it's different. I am lucky, but some are still grieving years on. We all have our own different grieving process, don't we? Forgot what your question was now.
My question was, what does the future hold for Shellagh?
I don't know. Well, 2 years Patrick will probably be at university, hopefully. And David and I would like to do some travelling. We've just bought the place we're in now. It's in a complex, so it's nice and manageable. So that's where we'd like to be, see a bit of Australia, keep healthy, keep being on these sort of forums. Sorry, that's a rubbish word for your show, isn't it? But keep getting the message out, I think, and that's what I really want to do. And there's a huge stroke campaign going at the moment. So I saw one of our local MPs last week who's going to do something through Stroke Week in September.
Let me jump in there, right? So what you said it happened and there was really no way of being prepared for that other than being hydrated. When you say stroke awareness and things like that, how can people be aware of the potential of having a stroke?
Well, people need to look at the risks. They need to look at the warning signs. So it's the ones that if you had to excuse me a minute, Alfie, stop it. Sorry, it's putting me off.
Here he is.
There you go. Hey.
Alfie, is it?
Alfie. This is Alfie. We've got Alfie and Lily. Say hello.
He's a bit camera shy.
He's ready for his cuddles. So it's the usual. It's excessive alcohol, smoking. Get your blood pressure checked. I was involved in the Australian biggest blood pressure check a few weeks ago, where, the Stroke Foundation, Diabetes Queensland, the Heart Foundation and other agencies got together to do some free blood pressure checks.
Great.
And diabetes checks with people who were willing to have the blood pressure check. And I just helped on one occasion. And I was quite surprised the amount of people we saw who actually had really high blood pressure and where they had really high blood pressure.
And weren't aware.
They weren't aware, no. So much so, the nurse who I did it with said to 2 or 3, I think you need to book an appointment with your doctor today because it's that high, which is quite scary. And 80%, I'm going on statistics now, over, 80% of strokes are preventable. If you think of 80% are preventable by people just looking after themselves and making sure all the numbers are in order, and leading a healthy life. And older people say, well, I don't exercise, I can't run like you, but they put around the garden, so make sure you do at least 30 minutes a day. Simple as that. You probably do a lot of this with your radio, but I'm sure you still do some exercise, don't you?
I couldn't function, not necessarily just physically, but mentally either if I didn't get out and do something. Can you let people that are watching this know, I think it's important, how can they get their blood pressure checked? What's the easiest way?
Just go see your doctor.
Go to the GP.
Go to the GP. Yeah. Go to the GP. Easy. We do lots of things like, we do lots of promotions through, the Stroke Foundation through the year. And it's just awareness. Get your leaflets. Get them to email me, ring me, do whatever they need to do. I'll get some leaflets, literature sent out to you. Go onto the Stroke Foundation website, which you probably put at the end of your thingy, won't you? If I tell you it. strokefoundation.org.au, but all the information is there, and one of the campaigns, as much as anything, and I'm probably being a bit more political now, but Deloitte did not a survey, the research. They did a report from 2012 to the present day that in rural areas people are more prone to have strokes by 19% because they've not got the same education, but they've not got the same, in the cities and with the funding, we have sports centres for kids, all sorts of things, don't we? So it's just, there's a lot of people lacking in something, so they're more prone to have strokes. So it's just looking after yourself. I can't say any more than that, really, other than what I've pointed out, but just be really, really aware, and diabetes is linked to stroke, and just... eat healthily, please eat healthily. Exactly.
Someone that's had a stroke, are they more inclined to have a second stroke? Is that a common thing?
Well, they can say that, but I'm not going to have another one, so there you go.
That's right.
I'm a statistic that's not proven. Sometimes if you have what's called your mini TIAs, which are your transient ischemic attacks, which they can resonate just as a really bad headache, and it isn't until you've actually gone to the doctors you realise you've had one. Mine was a mild stroke. If you had to grade them in any way, shape or form. Not that my life changed mildly, but yeah, mine was a bit more
compared to some others. It was mild.
Yeah, it was. I am lucky. I'm allowed to say that. I am lucky because I'm here talking to you.
Exactly, and I appreciate it so much. But I also think you're selling yourself a bit short. Like you obviously had a healthy enough life pre-stroke, so that it would have the stroke wasn't as severe because of your healthier past. Would that be a fair thing to say?
Yeah, I think Ron Grimley said to me that because I'd led a healthy lifestyle, that I recovered much quicker and much better. So yes, had the same thing happened to somebody who was perhaps really overweight or not healthy, then yeah, the recovery would have been much slower and could have been more severe. So yes,
got it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So I think what you've hit the nail on the head. What you're trying to say is, look, yes, it did happen to me, but had I been really unfit and unhealthy, then it would have been a lot worse. So yes,
got it. Sheila, let's start to wrap this up. We're coming up to 2 hours now.
Wow. Okay.
I'll have to go back and cut some bits out, but I don't know what to cut out. It's all been so interesting.
PG-6.
No, that's the best bit. Hey, if people are interested in finding out more information about stroke, first of all, you mentioned a website before, but where should they go?
Yeah, the website is Stroke Foundation, strokefoundation.org.au. But if you Google Stroke Foundation,
I'll find it.
They also have a really wonderful site called Enable Me, ENABLE me.org.au, which is a bit of a one-stop shop. I'm on there, as are a number of other stroke survivors. I was proud that they'd asked me to pilot it probably 3 years ago now, is it? And it's a really good site. You put blogs on there, and it's a real chatty site where people can find out anything they need to do about stroke. And my Facebook and website, my Facebook probably more commonly, I'm daily putting things on about stroke, what you need to know, some positive affirmations and things I'm doing, which make people smile. I think that it keeps people motivated. So
what's that page called?
A Stroke of Poetry, strangely enough.
Same as the book, yeah.
Yeah, and my website is www.astrokeofpoetry.com, and I'm on Twitter and Instagram, but there's lots of other places they can go for information. But often when people publish things like yourselves, I do get a few messages through with people saying, oh, can you tell me this, can you tell me that? I just need to say that whatever I've said today, it's a bit like a disclaimer.
The fine print.
Yeah, it's not, I don't have a medical background, I don't have a counselling background. This is purely from my own perspective as to how I've dealt with this, and I accept that people are totally different, and if they think, oh, that's rubbish, or I could never do that, then that's fine. But it's just that's how I've dealt with my life since my stroke. So.
And I think, and I don't want to speak on your behalf, but if anyone is taking any direction from this chat, it would be go and see a GP. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Step one.
Absolutely. But the thing is, and I've got to get in. I think I put it behind me. I don't know if it's still there. Is the FAST rule? I don't know if it's in.
I can see it. Yeah.
Yeah.
FAST.
With the aid of Patrick. Yeah. FAST, and people still don't know. And the Stroke Foundation are trying to get within the campaign one member of every household in Australia aware of the signs of stroke. And F means watch the face as the face dropped. A is arms. Can they lift their arms? Have they gone floppy? S is speech. Has it changed? Has it become slurred? And T is timeliness. No matter what you think, do not bundle people into your sedan. If you're in any doubt whatsoever whether they display 1, 3, or a sign that is just really weird that isn't on the FAST poster behind me, ring 000, because timeless is the key. If you get to hospital in time, you can have a clot busting drug. that can dissipate a clot, but it's getting that medical treatment. It's getting that medical treatment. That is first and foremost. And we hear some horrendous cases where people have got them in the car and then they said, oh, they've come round a bit, and it's just scary. But nobody will ever say you should have never run 000.
Exactly.
If somebody is just displaying something that isn't quite right, then get on that phone and get the emergency services. That's all I can say.
Well said. Shellagh, thanks for your time tonight. It's been a lovely conversation. I've enjoyed every second of it.
Yeah, me too.
I used to have a trainer that worked for me, and she was from the UK, and we'd have a conversation, and halfway through she'd say, "You didn't understand a word I said, did you?" But I'm glad to say with you was there's enough Aussie accent there that I could understand it all.
Well, I spoke a bit slower, I think, because I know a lot of people, and it's late at night. So if you got me first thing in the morning, it'd have been a bit bad.
Got it. Shellagh, can you leave us with some annoying inspiration to finish off tonight?
I think I should have had an affirmation ready. I think what I'd really, really like to say is the thing that I was taught, that Melinda, my trainer, taught me, was just focus on what you can do. Just focus on what you can do, and what you focus on grows. And be grateful. So that's 3. Be grateful for everything you have in your life, because there's always something you can be grateful for. So that's 3.
Well said. Thanks for your time, Shellagh.
Thank you. Lovely to speak to you.
See you, Alfie.
All right. Bye. See you. Take care. Thanks,
you too.
Matt.
Bye-bye.
Okay.